Hello, and welcome to So Forth and So On. I'm Miss Henderson, and today I would like to share with you a community service project I'm working on with my sewing students. Each student is creating their own block, and then I will take all the blocks and create a quilt with the block. It's going to take a while, but because the blocks are still filtering in. However, I'm getting started on my portion of it. So what I have here are about 5 fat quarters, and I've taken the time to wash them, hand wash them in cold water in a mild soap, and let them air dry. And now I'm just pressing them. I use a starch, and that helps keep them nice and crisp for cutting. So we're going stages to get this project together. And so we use lots of steam. And right now I am actually ironing. There's a difference between ironing and pressing, which you will see once we get going on this project. And it's going to take a few episodes. We're not going to complete the project all in one time. As a matter of fact, the way I organize my sewing is I have a day for preparation, be that washing or so forth with the fabric. Then I have a day with cutting. Now my cutting day is, perhaps I'll just save this for another video, but I do have a day for different things on different stages of the projects, because I have lots of projects that I like to do, and I have very small workspace, as you see here. And so rather than moving stuff around constantly between projects, I do one particular stage of all the projects at one time, and then the next day I do the next step of it. So today I am pressing and cutting my fabrics, and I'll talk about the organization, how I do things, on another video. Okay, so I'm almost done. I've pressed the other ones, all the other fabrics. This was the last one, and since my ironing space here is so small, I have to press it in sections as well. Or iron. Really quickly, this is ironing when you're moving the iron around. And pressing is when you just do an up and down motion. And this is for seams, mostly when we're pressing our seams, because we don't want to distort the fabric. We never want to distort the fabric, but ironing, you have to smooth out the wrinkles. So we move it around just to get all the wrinkles out. Okay, and one of the starches that I like to use is this Best Press, and it has different kinds, different aromas. This one here is Linen Fresh. It has lavender, rose, unscented, or original scent, which is a clear. So I have these, and I really like them. It doesn't take a lot of the Best Press to get the result that you are looking for. Alright, so I am all done pressing or ironing my fabric, and so what I like to do is go ahead and cut my fabrics now. So I have my cutting mat here. This is my cutting mat, and I have my rotary cutter, and I have my ruler. And what I'm going to do now is cut these into 5-inch square blocks. Now you can layer your fabric and cut several layers at one time. You just have to make sure that everything is lined up evenly. And sometimes, even though you buy fat quarters and they're all supposed to be the same, sometimes they're not the same size. There's a little more, about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. So just make sure that you take the time to line up your fabrics if you are going to cut more than one at the same time. See, like this one is not even at all. Not even at all. Two different sizes, but we're going to make it work out for us. And I have, I believe, 6. And what I'm doing is matching the color of this particular block here. So I have fabric solids in each one of these colors so that I can make my blocks. So I cut these into squares, connect the squares to make blocks, connect the blocks to make panels, connect the panels to make a quilt. Okay. I'm very excited about this project. I believe in another video I did show you some of the blocks that my students made, and so now we are going to cut this fabric and then work those blocks into a nice design. I like to make sure my fabric is all going in the same direction as far as right sides. So these are all facing down, so I want these to face down as well. Sometimes it's difficult to tell the right side from the wrong side, and if it's very difficult, then don't worry about it. But if you can find the difference, then make sure you cut it the right way. Otherwise, in the finished product, you'll have some parts of the project that look a little duller than the others, and it's because it's wrong side out. And I guess that's okay in this day and age, depending on what look you're going for. Okay, so now I have my fabrics all together here, several layers, and I am using my cutting mat that has a grid on it so that I can measure properly. So like I said, I'm going to cut these to 5 by 5 inch squares. But the first thing we want to do is square up this fabric and make sure that it's all even. So I'm just going to line up my ruler, this edge, and you can line up your ruler with the marks that are on the mat. They line up nicely. Measure twice, cut once. Be very careful. Don't be in a rush. Okay, and then just go along well, I guess it would help if I took the safety cap off. There we go. And I'm pressing down on the fabric with the ruler as I glide along with the rotary cutter. Okay, so that edge is nice and smooth and straight. And I'm just taking just a little bit off just so it's even. Same thing over here. So you never want to, don't take more than you need to. Find the shortest piece and then line your ruler up using the lines on your cutting mat and go slowly. Just take your time. I don't generally like cutting toward myself, so okay. And sometimes the rotary cutter may skip, but you'll see. You just clean it up nice and neat. Keep your fingers out of the way, and you have nice cut edge. There we are. 6 layers might have been a lot for this little rotary cutter. I have other rotary cutters, but this is what I have now. Okay, so we have this lined up, and right now we're at 18 1/4 by 22. So I'm going to do 5-inch blocks. I can just take this down to this, do 15 right here. My 15-inch line right there, because I know and I probably will get a larger rotary cutter. Let's try this one. There we are. I think we're ready for business now. And this just goes, don't throw it away. We'll save this for another project. And then here I'm going to make it to 20 because that's a multiple of 5. And we're doing 5-inch squares, right? Okay. Line my ruler on my mat. Love that sound of cutting. So now, and the ruler I'm using is a 5-inch ruler as well. Okay, so we can line it up with the 5-inch mark. It does have the seam allowance on here, so that's good too. Anyway, and then we just cut. So that was 5. Let me go to the 10-inch mark because we got 5-inch squares. And line it up. Okay, make sure your ruler doesn't move on you. Okay. The 15 mark. And then that's already at 20. So we have our cuts that way. So now we're going to go this way. I lined it up with the 5-inch line here. Press down. It glides right through like butter. Okay. Come up to the 10-inch mark. Now you gotta be a contortionist in my small sewing space. Here we are. Move your hand up a little just to keep that ruler in place. Put a guard back on. Wouldn't you know it, huh? And so now we have our 5-inch squares, and they're all cut, all the colors. Now that was a lot easier and quicker. So that's my feature block, and there are all the different colors there. And that was so much easier and quicker than doing each fabric by itself. Okay, so I'll be with you next time for the next step of our project. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed the information that I shared with you, please hit the like button, consider subscribing and sharing, and I'd appreciate any comments. Thank you so much and have a great day. Remember to sew forth and sew on.